One, two, three. I read the news today. Oh boy. The U.S. Army's got another war. The spoils of war will make the richer rich and send your soul to hell, you poor son of a bitch. Hell's just a German word for light, warm, and bright. Some people dream about it all through the night. There was a time when you were my delight, and tonight that's quite alright. We're warm and light, a bright delight, dreaming with you throughout the night. I read the news today, oh boy. They killed another one in Texas. They hung a black boy in a juniper tree. I wonder whose next neck is or may be. The hot seat burned another ass in Tennessee. This one from the upper class. The poor mistreated rich kid defense did not stand a chance. They shot his ass with peppered heroin and condensed shit. Boy, and that ain't all. The lawyers from the Baptist church have set suit and in alert. The ancient, primitive, wrathful, vengeful, jealously vain, bloodthirsty, unforgiving, hateful, savage, pre-pagan and pagan Roman Jews, the executives, the rich, the ones with the highest born titles and claims, like Rabbi, Cantor, Levi, doctor, lawyer, Ph.D., accusing them of blasphemy, in their blaspheme of accusing you know whom, of the blaspheme of describing God as a loving and forgiving Father, unlike themselves, and their blaspheme by biblical definition. Blaspheme is a Roman word. It has something to do with an exploding strike like lightning. Just another word for deadly error for which there is no remedy. Unforgivable sin, wrong, error, mistake, delinquents delete crime, but it is specifically associated with the use of the word God. I tread on the thin ice of blasphemy, even explaining to you that all definitions, classifications, descriptions, images, statues, paintings, or insinuation of such, by claiming to know the will of God, to speak for God, to be chosen of God, is blasphemed by biblical definition. There are little blasphemies for which you get one evening in a purgatory, where you visit with ancient friends and talk about days of pure glory. There was this war, that awful whore, in disguise of peace and keeping. These whore wars, a war of whores forever dancing in the streets with people sleeping, the sounds of joy pierced to the heart with screams in the night and people weeping, as in the more common silent back street where all the common people meet to sound advances and retreats and keep on dancing, and then the thunderously backbeat. They're all in rhythm ripples, neat to bound, advancing in retreats, and keep on prancing. Come down off your high horse, Mr. Dr. Lawyer, PhD, with your license and certificates and your titles of degree. Printed, bought, stolen, cheated, lied, purchased with your soul. Ain't worth the money that they printed on. The aristocrats were families too, and the Jews of Germany and the kings once had a brother or two, or in as much or as many, some down to one and others down to done, finished, kaput, chopped off the heads and poisoned and such. The Crusaders, Puritans, Christians, and Jews, with Muslims coming up in the rear, just keeping in touch with the blasphemous image of God as a wrathful, vengeful, unforgiving, jealously vain, hateful, vicious, male, humanoid, ethereal monster demon, human, mentally and physically, in the image of the primitive, brutal, violent, uneconomic, antisocial, rampaging, assaulting, sacking, and genocidal killing, no quarters for man, woman, or child, savages called Jews at the time of Joshua, who fit the terrorist destruction of many villages and towns until the more civilized nations put an end to it, not by the same genocidal tactics, but by enslaving the survivors and finally selling them to the Romans, after leasing them to the Greeks, who taught them to read and write and to understand more clearly that a natural society of peace, goodwill, universal economy, and honor for human rights is achieved by honoring human rights. The human right to have been listed, and they boil down to the human right to life, the right to live and not to be killed by insane, professional, institutionally educated Judeo-Christians and Muslims who happen upon governmental and other corporate positions and powers, purposefully or by careless indifference and accident. the human right to exercise conscionable liberties in the pursuit of happiness that cause no harm or death. Conscionable liberties being those that cause no harm or death, and the human right to participate in the social and economic intercourse requisite to a good life in a peaceful society of goodwill and universal economy. And the human right to participate in the social and economic intercourse requisite to a good life in a peaceful society of goodwill and universal economy, and all human rights are honored. Full employment, full pay, full benefits assured by the national treasury, restoration and fixed more permanently in place controls and regulations of the prices, fees, and exploitations of corporations and institutions. Conscription into bonding by signed contract of all professionals and their families in lieu of poison needles, electric chairs, gas chambers, nooses, and firing squads for their capital crimes of sedition, collective universal cooperation to undermine and destroy the legitimate, egalitarian, universally representative democracy, government, and viable society of the United States of America, and its universal economy, peace, and goodwill among the people. Full employment, full pay, and full benefits assured by the National Treasury. This is too much to ask of philosophically cemented robots, but not too much to ask of you. The natural law, a simple balance of the matter and energy of the universe, where every change effects to varying degrees, eventually other changes everywhere forever. One should take care in how much of the universe one changing. The living are the only known source of change in the obedient status and shifts of volume, force, and momentum of quarks, electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms, molecules, elements, planets, asters, stars, galaxies, nebula, and things smaller and things larger than these. The natural law of exacting backwards that permits this only known by a sphere in this endless space that has always been and will ever be the universe, everywhere, forever, in this everlasting moment of now. Do not be deceived by the repeating glimpses of the sun or moon, nor by the building and the falling down of mountains. Matter and energy change, form, force, and momentum. Time is a constant. Now, this moment is forever. The earth may circle the sun but few times, and I am conceived, manifest, alive, living, a conscious will, a collective and collect consciousness, indivisible from this living flesh and bone that returns to the mass, each element in its own obedient adjustment of size, force, or weight, and momentum, stillness and speed. Methuselah lived 900 years. That sounds like a lie to me. The mother of us all, the metamorphosized rib of a father of us all. And she being the reason for the greatest fall. That sounds like a homophobic, homosexual lie to me. The boys that act mean so you do not see how sissy they are inside, but which they cannot hide, no matter how mean they sing and be. The brutality, torture, and killing by illegally, unconstitutionally specific, dispatched armed groups of persons is, in the greatest part, if not entirely, due to the indulgence and incident of the confused homophobic homosexual mentality, not to be confused with the gay people, regular homosexuals. The number of persons with a homophobic homosexual obsession in the mind is a much greater number than our scientific community once believed. 10 times greater, probably. They could not get past their own learned homophobic homosexual mental blocks. Religious fanatics among scientists historically have pejoratized any knowledge not coinciding with standard synagogue, church, and mosque dogma regarding such things as the shape of the planet, its position in the universe, magic, devils and demons, and God. People construct their images of God to reflect their own images of themselves. One ought perhaps give some consideration to which blasphemous images of God one place before the children to worship and to mold themselves physically and mentally. What can you do when you have been indoctrinated, psychologically persuaded at an earlier age to base your thinking on the idea that you must love, trust, worship, and obey God, who or which is, by biblical definition in the book of Joshua, a wrathful, unforgiving, hateful, vengeful, jealously vain, bloodthirsty, merciless, male, humanoid, ethereal, monster, demon of ancient, savage, Jew, and pagan, Roman, invented imagination, which some have changed to loving and forgiving and other human traits, and on the idea that you must love, idolize, and adore, and be men with the same qualities as those of God, as you deny and hide your natural affections for the company of men. Homophobic homosexuals in their earlier years begin to consider which lies to tell, which denials to make, how to persuade that one is not gay. It gets totally gruesome from there as it extends to the police departments, from the offices of the governor, attorney general, and the district attorney, all peopled and commanded by homophobic homosexuals trying to hide their natural affections by causing harm, extending to death, to fill quotas, gain a revenue, generate fees and resources, build a reputation, get pats on the back and the butt, promotions, raises, positions, and powers to assure their early deaths and family genocides. months. You cannot fool Mother Nature. Suffice it to say that the rich of America have become rich and millionaires by causing poverty and death to millions. There is enough of everything for everyone to have plenty if it is not hoarded or wasted. There is enough work needing to be done to keep everyone busy for a lifetime. If you have nothing better to do, you might wish to help me build this pyramid